Hello, hi guys. Welcome you all to the DevOps Delight YouTube channel. In today's video, we are going to see yet another task of our 100 days of DevOps task challenge. I am here on the Chrome browser. Let me type engineer.kodekloud.com/practice. Hit enter. I directly got this tasks UI because I have to set my password and username. In your case, it may differ. It will prompt you to enter your username and password. Once you have given those details, you will also get the same screen as like me. Let me click on the start button. As part of our 100 days of DevOps task challenge, today we will see day 60 persistent volumes in Kubernetes task. Let me click on the start button. It may take 1 or 2 minutes to load our task. Meanwhile, I'm skipping the video here for a while. Okay, we got our task. First, let me read the task, then we will look into the solution. The Nautilus DevOps team is working on a Kubernetes template to deploy a web application on the cluster. There are some requirements to create or use persistent volumes to store the application code, and the template needs to be designed accordingly. Please find more details below. Create a persistent volume named as PV-exfusion. Configure the spec as storage class should be manual. Set capacity to 4 GI. Set access mode to read write once. Volume type should be host path and set path to /mount/IT-admin. This directory is already created. You might not be able to access it directly, so you need not to worry about it. Create a persistent volume client named as PVC-exfusion. Configure the spec as storage class should be manual. Request 3 GI of the storage. Set access mode to read write once. 3. Create a pod named as pod-exfusion. Mount the persistent volume you created with claim name PVC-exfusion at document root of the web server. The container within the pod should be named as container-exfusion using image HTTPD with the latest tag only. Remember to mention the tag, that is HTTPD:/latest. Create a node port type service named web-exfusion using node port 3008 to expose the web server running within the pod. Note: the kubectl utility on jump host has been configured to work with the Kubernetes cluster. Alright, so I am here on the jump host. Let me click on this website. As of now, it is fine or to bad gateway since it is expected, since we have no resources yet on our Kubernetes cluster. Alright, let me do the kubectl hyphen version. We have to type kubectl version. Yes, kubectl is there. Let me do the ls. We have no files here. Now let me do the kubectl get all. We are having only one service named as Kubernetes. Right. Apart from it, we have no resources created yet. Now let me do the vi pv.yml. So within this pv.yml, I'm going to create a persistent value. So API version v1, and then we need to mention the kind. So kind is of persistent value. So or else let me copy paste instead of typing. It would be better. Persistent value, and then we need to have a metadata. So metadata, we will be having name. So persistent value pv-exfusion. So this is the one. And then we will be having spec. So within spec, we will be having storage class. So what is the storage class? It should be manual. Okay, so let me type storage class name. This is how we need to give. And then it is of manual. Right, now we need to set a capacity, right? So let me type capacity. So what is its storage? So storage is of 4 GI. Let me type 4 GI, and then we need to have access mode dimension, right? So let me type it access mode. So access mode is of read write, once. So it should be access modes, not mode. when we will get the issue. And then we are having what else? Host path we need to mention. Host path. So what is the path? It is mnt/it admin. Let me copy it, paste it here. All right. And that's what they asked us to do it in the persistent value. Escape colon x enter. Now let me do the persistent value claim pvc.yml. So you can give either YML or else YAML. There will be no difference, guys. Now let me type API version. So it is also same v1. And then we need to have a kind. So kind is of persistent value claim. Let me copy it, paste it here. And then metadata. So within metadata, we will be having name. So what is the name of our persistent value? It is pvc-xfusion. All right, then spec. So within spec, we need to have storage class, right? So storage class name. What is the name? It is of manual. And then we need to have a access mode. Let me type it, access modes. So access mode is of read write ones. So it should be same. Let me copy paste it instead of typing. If we type, we may miss something. Capital, small letters also matters. So we just have to be aware about it. And then we need to have a request of R3GI, right? So we need to mention resources there in the persistent values. We need to define it as a capacity storage, but when it comes to persistent value planes, we need to define it as a resources, and within resources we need to have a request. See, request, right? So request is of storage, and then 3gi. We are good. Escape colon x enter. Now we have our pvc. Now let me create a pod, vi pod.yml, press I. Here also same API version v1 kind is of pod, and then metadata. So metadata name. So within name where they have given pod-xfusion. Let me type the same pod-xfusion, and then persistent value. Yeah, right. So then let's go with the spec. So within spec, we need to have a container, right? So containers. Did they have given any name? Yes, they do it. Container-xfusion. Let me copy it. Name, and then did they mention any image? So use image httpd latest, httpd colon latest value modes. So now let's define the value modes. Value modes, what will be the name? We can give something as value -devops, or else since it is xfusion, right? So instead of going for devops, we can give the value -xfusion, and then path we need to give, right? So let me type mount path, which will be here. They did not mentioned, but here since we are using httpd, right? httpd, it will be /var /ww/html. This will be the default path where we will be having all the web pages in the httpd. Now let me define the volumes. So under volume, we have to have the same name, value-xfusion, and then we have persistent value claim, right? So they mentioned persistent value you created with the claim name pvc-xfusion. So we need to define it. Persistent value claim. So what will be the name? So it will be of claim name. So they have given right PVC-X fusion. Let me copy and paste the same PVC-X fusion. Alright, now escape colon X enter. Now let me define the service vi svc.yml. So here also same API version v1 guide capitals S and then metadata. Within metadata we have to define name of our service. Give web-X fusion as they have asked us to give the web-X fusion as the name of our service, and then spec. So within spec, first we will define the type since they asked us to use the node port, right? See here node port. So let me define type first. Type is of node port, and then we need to use the same service for the part. So we can define it via selector. We have to define as a label in our pod. Define that first here. So will be they did not mention anything. We can give whatever we want. So I'm going with the exfusion name, and then we will be having ports. So ports is of port 80, and then we need to have a target port. Target port will also be 80, and then our node port. Node port will be 3008, right? Let me copy it, paste it here. So here we have given selector app exfusion escape colon X enter. Let me go to pod.yaml, come all the way to metadata. Here we need to have labels. So labels will be of app equals to exfusion, as we can define below. App exfusion. Alright. Now escape colon X enter. Now let me do the ls. We have our pod persistent volume claim and service. Now let me do the kubectl apply -f pod.yaml then pv.yaml. So if in case you wanted to have multiple YAML files to be applied at a time, then we can use this way. pvc.yml enter. Add request service is created, persistent volume is created, but in our pod.yaml file we are having issue persistent volume claim. See here. Okay, now let me do the vi in pod.yaml. There will be issue at persistent volume claim, and then first let me fix this pod.yaml. So let's come all the way down to the persistent volume claim. Within persistent volume claim, C should be of capital C, not small c. So capital C, escape colon X enter. Now let me do the kubectl apply -f pod.yaml. It is worked now. Now we have issue at pv.yaml. There is some issue at the host path. Let me type vi pv.yml. Host path will be come down. So we need to have a host path. We should not define like this. We have to define, we have to use a path keyword and then the path of it. This is how we need to define. I did a mistake here. Escape colon X enter. Now let me do the kubectl apply -f pv.yml. Yes, now it is created. Now if I do the kubectl get all, we should be able to see one pod or two services. Kubernetes, that is the default one, and then web-X fusion that we created just now. Pod is creating. Let me do the kubectl get pods. Now it is in running state. Kubectl get PV. We have our persistent volume. Kubectl get PVC. We have our persistent volume claim. Now let me refresh our website. See, it works. That means we have successfully created a pod and a persistent volume, and then persistent value claim and service for right. As we have completed the task, let me click on this check button to validate our work. Click on confirm. Yes, we did it right. Congratulations. That's it for this video, guys. See you in another video with yet another task of our 100 days of DevOps task challenge. Till then, keep learning, keep practicing. Thank you.